had today. Having these two on camera, this is nice. We had a really solid match previously between Austin Collins and Abe Corrigan, and now we get to see Ethan Gaieski on Humans versus Matt Dilks on Amulet Titan. Let's go ahead and head down to the time-shifted match.
It does not get much better than this. This is a matchup. These are two decks that have been around for a little bit while. A touch off the limelight now, but great tournaments here so far for these players. Matthew Dilks on the play. Forest into Sakura Tribe Scout. Unclaimed Territory on Human into Aether Vial for Gaieski.
Yeah, and here the Ancient Stirring is going to be looking for either an Amulet of Vigor if he already has 2-mana land, or just any land if he needs mana.
Find was Talaria West, not always the most exciting one. Play for the turn, Gemstone Mine, Amulet of Vigor, so he's got a lot of his pieces online here. He'll scout in the west and a second Amulet.
Now, with that said, Dilks only has one card left in hand, so he needs, if he has a bounce land, he needs a payoff, and if he has a payoff, he needs a bounce land.
Here's a Meddling Mage on Gaieski, so this is time-shifted. We'll see if we can find out what that was on.
It's Primeval Titan.
All right.
I don't know for sure, but it's Primeval Titan.
It's very likely to be the find. Thalia's Lieutenant cast here. The Aether Vial is now on 2. That'll vial in a Phantasmal Image. Thalia's Lieutenant's going to pump up the squad here. It seems likely to be another Meddling Mage. And here's an attack for 3 off of that Meddling Mage. Dilks will fall to 17 and will go to his turn. I believe a Summoner's Pack was drawn for Dilks.
Now, I've been informed by our spotter, Patrick Sullivan, on this match. The first is confirmed, naming Primeval Titan. The second is naming the answer to the Meddling Mages in Engineered Explosives. Now, Talaria West getting that Engineered Explosives is no longer an out here for Matthew Dilks.
It makes a lot of sense, and Dilks just has to pass. Gaieski will crank his vial up to 3. Militia Bugler for Thalia's Lieutenant. That amounts to a lot of damage.
Yeah, the Militia Bugler on Thalia's Lieutenant just pumps up all the squad right now. Gets in for a large chunk of damage, and with Dilks kind of out of it here, just not a whole lot of outs to actually claw back in this game thanks to those Meddling Mages shutting down basically his entire strategy.
And this is an attack for 13, the 5/5 Lieutenant, 2/4/4 Meddling Mages. Dilks is at 17. You got to think about what your next turns look like. You chump with the Tribe Scout here. He's under a lot of pressure.
Oh, absolutely. Jumping with Tribe Scout, it seems reasonable. A lot of creatures become lethal if you take this attack down to 4. But at the same time, I think Dilks is basically going for Hail Mary, and that might include a Sakura Tribe Scout. But from looking at his list, he has 1 copy of Walking Ballista he can find, and that's something that, can target the Phantasmal Image for X=1, which could unlock an Engineered Explosives and knock out all the 2-mana creatures. And in turn, that actually makes Engineered Explosives and the chump blocker save from lethal.
Yeah, so Walking Ballista was found. He'll cast that for X=2. Go to Gaieski's side. He'll cast Kitesail Freebooter, pumps up his Thalia's Lieutenant. Get a look at that Summoner's Pact that was in Dilks' hand. He'll put that under the Freebooter.
And here, even with the Walking Ballista large, I think that's all she wrote. Ethan Gaieski takes game 1 in a quick fashion against Matthew Dilks.
Yeah,
now,
Reflector Mage more than sealed that one up.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Reflector Mage was not the story of that game, though it was the final nail in the coffin. Matthew Dilks actually drew the 1-outer of Walking Ballista, but just couldn't quite get it done. Didn't draw it in time to turn that Summoner's Pact into a Primeval Titan.
Yep, not enough going on there. A powerful proactive draw from Gaieski. Plenty of hits, a little bit of disruption. It's kind of the recipe you need in matchups like this. These players are sideboarding here. You can check out their sideboards on the Cardboard Live extension. So on the human side, Gaieski has actually packed 2 Chalice of the Voids in his sideboard, as well as 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 4 Auriok Champions, 3 Deputy of Detention, 2 Knight of Autumn, and 2 Dismembers. How heavily do you think he's sideboarding here?
Not very heavily. The more I look at it, the more I just want maybe Knight of Autumn, maybe some Dismember. Knight of Autumn allows him a little bit of play against those explosive starts featuring Amulet of Vigor, or potentially knocking off a Coalition Relic if Dilks is a little light on mana. The Dismembers knocking out Azusa or Sakura Tribe Scout early is pretty good too.
Dilks maybe has some more removal in his sideboard, stuff like that.
Yeah, on Dilks' side, 4 Path Exile could come in for sure if he wants to be that aggressive with his sideboard plan. And then a Hornet Queen can come in as well as another Engineered Explosives.
Yeah, so Dilks started with the Forest. On turn 2, he'll pick that up to a Celestial Sanctuary. Gaieski has Unclaimed Territory on human, Ether Vial, Cavern of Souls, Champion of the Parish off the Vial, Meddling Mage, probably on Primeval Titan. That'll pump up the champion as well. Here's a Sousa for Dilks off of a Slayer's Stronghold. Plays a Kabira Crossroads. He'll go to 22. And looking at another land drop, it's Talaria West. Back to Gaieski.
Unfortunately, in the time shifted match, we don't have a live spotter to let us know all these names, unfortunately. And with Modern, there's a bunch of Pithing Needles and Meddling Mages. But we'll do our best. We'll make assumptions here.
Here's a Kitesail Freebooter for Gaieski. We see Forest, Celestial Sanctuary, Path to Exile, and Engineered Explosive. So 2 answers for the Freebooter. Gaieski just takes the Path to Exile. Follows up with Noble Hierarch that pumps up the Champion of the Parish again. That now a 4/4. Here's an attack for 6. Violin Phantasmal Image.
I have to imagine that's either copying Freebooter or copying Meddling Mage. Either one of those, I think it's fine. They're both human, so they both end up pumping the Champion of the Parish, and they both lock out the Engineered Explosives from the other side. And it looks like Meddling Mage was the card copied and the choice made.
So Dilks at 16 here. See what he can do. Just in a Sousa and a bunch of lands.
Yeah, but his life total a bit padded, thanks to that Kabira Crossroads. So
Picked up a Sakura Tribe Scout. He'll play Forest and cast that one. Back over to Gaieski. Ether Vial up to 3. I want to say there's a Mantis Rider hanging out in that hand.
Yeah, Mantis Rider off the top. He has a Canopy in hand and a Noble Hierarch, so he could... Ooh, good God.
Another Meddling Mage.
This is a lot.
And gets the Mantis Rider. That Champion of the Parish, now gigantic. It's a 7/7. That and the Mantis Rider ride in. Kitesail Freebooter as well.
I mean, I think Dilks has to actually just block this turn or else he's dead.
Yeah, puts the Tribe Scout in front, takes 4 in the air. He'll go to 11.
Notably, doesn't attack with any of the Meddling Mages because a double block with a Sousa and Sakura Tribe Scout would have basically made the whole House of Cards crumble.
Speaking of the House of Cards crumbling, though, Dilks picks up Path to Exile, paths the Meddling Mage on Engineered Explosives. He's Engineered Explosives for 2, has mana up to activate it.
Activate it, and he can float a white with the Slayer Stronghold and Celestial Sanctuary and still cast Path to Exile on either the Mantis Rider or the big Champion of the Parish.
From there, it still takes some draw steps to actually win the game, but he's making a lot of ground recovering here. As you see, he'll use Celestial Sanctuary, pick up Kabira Crossroads, play that again, goes to 13.
Yeah, of course, thanks to Zeus's ability to let you play a bunch of extra lands.
All right, so over to Gaieski.
Now, there's going to be a pretty big attack here, but it's going to be mostly negated by the Engineered Explosives. So, wow. And this is still an impressive showing from Gaieski, even though he's about to get 4 of his permanents destroyed, or 3 of his permanents destroyed, 4 with the Path to Exile. Path's going to take care of the biggest creature on the battlefield. And after all that, Gaieski still has 3 pretty large threats, a Noble Hierarch and an Ether Vial on 3, to Dilks' nothing.
So the Mantis Rider bumped Dilks to 10.
Boom!
Huge draw. Summoner's Pact. There's Primeval Titan.
And there's an argument to be made for Dilks to actually go get Hornet Queen in this spot because Hornet Queen allows him to stifle just all the aggression from the other side of the table. But it looks like he's going to go get 2 Semi-Grow Chambers. He's going to bounce Kabira and Talaria West. Plays land for the turn of that Kabira Crossroads. And next turn can do some pretty gross stuff.
So he goes to 12. We'll go to Gaieski's turn. He plays and sacrifices Horizon Canopy. So just a 1-card hand here. Really wishes he had another Reflector Mage.
Yeah, another Reflector Mage would be pretty good. Just let him attack. But, Dilks' hand is Talaria West here, which is pretty good because it means next turn, even after he pays for Summoner's Pact, he can still transmute and still have quite a bit of mana left over. I'm not sure exactly how much, but, you can do the math.
Yeah, so
You're a smart guy.
Thalia's Lieutenant for Gaieski. Pumps up the squad. Mantis Rider connects for 4. Dilks is at 7. Pays for the Pact. Looks like he has 7 mana left over.
So he can cast Azusa and transmute Talaria West, but he's going to float a blue and cast Ancient Stirrings first.
Looks like a pretty weak selection as far as Stirrings goes. Gemstone Mine is actually the pick. Saw a bunch of green cards in there.
Yeah, I don't know how often Ancient Stirrings misses in this deck, but I can't imagine it's a non-zero amount. Basically just hits Amulet, Relic, and lands.
Plays a lot of lands.
It does. Usually 28 in the main, sometimes one or two more utility ones in the sideboard, like an extra Cavernous Souls, but it also sides out lands like Bojuka Bog pretty regularly.
Yeah. You have enough that feel like misses. For example, I don't think that Gemstone Mine really materially benefits Dilks here.
Now, here's actually an interesting play that Dilks could do. He could actually transmute Tolaria West for another bounce land, and that allows him, along with the Azusa, to go like bounce land plus. Well, I'll just let him do it. There's a lot of bouncing lands going on, replaying extra lands for the turn via Kabir Crossroads, transmuting with Tolaria West, yada yada.
Yeah, so he played a Sousa, use that to play the Gemstone Mine, Slayer Stronghold up the Primeval Titan, an attack for 8, he'll go find some more lands. Vesuva Simic Growth Chamber was the find. I want to say that was a Kabir Crossroads, it was, he goes to 9.
Yeah, and he's going to bounce the Vesuva with the Simic Growth Chamber's ability, and I believe he still has at least one land left to play for the turn. He's going to do it again and copy Kabir Crossroads again and gaining 2 more life.
Up to 11, the attack resolves. Gaieski at 11 as well. Militia Bugler.
This is actually just an insane draw from Gaieski, and I honestly am shocked that he's losing.
He's got a really lot of power on the table, right?
He does, but one of his creatures basically just gets swallowed up. And I think he made a pretty big mistake here by actually tapping his lands instead of the Ether Vial with the Militia Bugler, because now he just doesn't have the mana to actually cast the card he drew, which means the Champion of the Parish can't attack, and that's a pretty huge deal.
Yeah, the Lieutenant's just stuck in his hand now, at least for this turn. Now Dilks will get another attack with that Primeval Titan.
All right, Gaieski here, perhaps in a bit of trouble. Whenever Primeval Titan gets to attack, it's pretty scary.
And now there's an Amulet of Vigor, which makes it all the scarier.
Yeah, transmuting Tolaria West, going to go get a 0-drop. Let's see what Dilks comes up with. This would make for a good show me the lethal puzzle. I'm curious if there is one.
Well, that was a Summoner's Pack, and here's a Primeval Titan.
Yeah.
It's a start that often amounts to lethal. Cast the Titan.
So I guess earlier when I said the Vesuva was copying the Crossroads for the last time, I think it actually copied a Simic Growth Chamber and then returned the Crossroads, and then the extra land drop from Azusa was able to replay it. That's how it gained that life.
Finds Sunhome and Boros Garrison now. Leave the Vesuva returned to hand.
This is going to be some awkward blocks for Gaieski, because he's actually looking at lethal if he doesn't block, but Dilks can actually just put double strike on the one that is most advantageous for his position and wipe a bunch of humans off of Gaieski's side for very little investment. A couple bounce land triggers coming on the stack now, going to be returning probably some Tolaria West that can be transmuted later on for more Primeval Titans. This is where the deck starts to spiral out of control.
Yeah, both Titans are attacking, 1 for 8, 1 for 6. I guess he's going to line up some blockers. He does have a lot of toughness on the table.
Yeah, but I don't think he can survive like a double strike hit and then still trade off with the Titan. So this is looking pretty grim for Gaieski.
So he has put 8 toughness in front of the 8 power Titan, and he's put 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 toughness in front of the 6/6 as well.
All right, double strike on the 6/6 version to basically first strike down the 4 toughness Reflector Mage and the 2 toughness Thaw's Lieutenant, and then regular damage sweeps up everything. One of the Titans goes, but the entire side of Ethan Gaieski's side of the battlefield also goes.
Play a Growth Chamber, pick up Tolaria West. Looks like he's transmuting that.
Yep, and he can go get a couple of bounce lands if he wants, just gain a bunch of life with Kabir Crossroads. Instead goes for Injure Explosives. Gonna probably pop that on 3, take care of that Mana Strider, which could potentially spell lethal.
And there Gaieski's out of it. These players are going to game number 3.
That was a hell of a game. Dilks on the back foot through most of it, finds the Path to Exile, which crumbles the House of Cards Gaieski built on the back of those Meddling Mages, and Dilks just showing how resilient this Amulet Titan deck can be in the face of this aggressive disruption. That was an insane draw from Gaieski. At no point did he ever get flooded, and almost every single turn he was able to deploy multiple threats, even through all the removal, all the sweepers, and still couldn't quite get the job done.
And this is really the strength of Amulet Titan. You know, I don't really play the deck. I can't really figure out all those find lethal puzzles, but there's something else going on there too. You know what was important in that game? Path to Exile, engineered explosives.
Right.
Tolaria West being able to find engineered explosives. There's a ton going on in this deck. It's by no means one-dimensional.
No, absolutely. And I think there's another thing to be said about the versatility of one-ofs with all these tutors against stuff like Meddling Mage. You know, like even if Meddling Mage names Primeval Titan, on Gaieski's side of things, Dilks can use a Summoner's Pack to go get a Hornet Queen, and that can buy him enough time until he finds one of those answers for the Meddling Mage. So there's a lot to be said about how this deck operates in the face of disruption.
Multi-6 Scry to the bottom for Gaieski. He has Ancient Ziggurat into Champion of the Parish to start. Dilks has Forest Amulet of Vigor, so Gaieski wants to put pressure up. Here's a Kitesail Freebooter. Sees a hand. A Sousa Lost But Seeking. Engineered Explosives. Celestial Sanctuary. Primal Command. Tolaria West. And Primeval Titan.
Yeah, here you have a choice between Primal Command and Engineered Explosives. Just take Explosives and be done with it. This hand is okay for Dilks' side of things. He's going to get to go to Sousa and play probably 2 extra land drops. So he's ramping up pretty hard towards Primal Command. So you could have made an argument for that, but you know, this is looking pretty grim here for Gaieski unless he has a pretty good Meddling Mage on the follow-up turn.
Yeah, Dilks got to commit a Sousa there, but sort of stopped after that. Tolaria West, and then he'll pass to Gaieski.
Well, something you often see with Amulet of Vigor and Azusa is the Titan player not playing a bounce land if it's their only one, because the way that they work with Amulet of Vigor, you can actually just use it to generate extra mana. So the bounce land with the 2 extra land drops can produce 6 mana with your land for the turn, and that allows you to cast Primeval Titan in a spot where you wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
Yeah, and here is that Titan. Dilks at 14 after a couple hits with that Champion of the Parish, but that's more than enough once you get to this phase of the game. Finds Boros Garrison, the Slayer's Stronghold, haste up that Titan, attack, find some more lands.
And he still has a land drop to play for the turn, which is pretty insane. You know, he played the bounce land twice, returned it twice, tapped his other 2 lands to cast the Titan, and got the 2 lands off of that. Jeez Louise.
Beer Crossroads, Simic Growth Chamber. Gets to Path to Exile the Freebooter, frees up that Explosives.
Yeah, gains 2 and floats the mana before returning to Kabir Crossroads, and he was going to play that for his land for the turn as well, so he's going to gain an extra life and cast Explosives, popping it up for 1, clearing the whole side of the battlefield for Gaieski. Dilks is on a roll!
Deputed attention on Primeval Titan, but he's got a lot of ground to make up here.
What an insane turn from Dilks.
He did lose his own Amulet of Vigor to the Explosive, so I guess it was a 2 for 3, not a 3 for 1. And
Gaieski
another Primeval Titan, speaking of 3 for 1s.
Gaieski had no non-land permanents. Another Primeval Titan here, obviously a nuts draw from Dilks. Going to close this game out pretty quick unless Dilks just has answer after answer, and he does not. And he packs him in, and Dilks is going to make it in the top 8. Keep pushing further and further towards that Players' Championship bid. Gaieski on the hunt for points as well. Falls just a little bit short. Perhaps a minor mistake in a spot or 2 cost him that match, but we'll never know.
I like Gaieski's approach to the weekend. You know, gut shots on the downturn.